So the big question is this: how are millennials like you and I, who refuse to accept the American dream template that the schools and our parents have tried to hand down to us, but looking to escape the rat race? How do we shift our mindset in life to reach success and find our happiness? That's the question, and this podcast will give you the answers. My name is Brandon Stover, and I'm an entrepreneur who is going from zero to success and sharing every one of my secrets along the way in order to inspire you to defy your odds. Welcome to the Hustle and Happiness Podcast. Welcome, everybody, to the Hustle and Happiness Podcast. On today's show, I have a millennial woman who, after graduating college at 19 and doing writing gigs on the side, went on to become a copywriter at one of the largest advertising agencies in the Philippines. Yet her rebellious spirit knew the office life was not for her, and she began exploring her entrepreneurial journey. She's been a writer, a public speaker, college professor, MC, and even started several businesses, including a flower shop with dealers all over the country, a VA placement agency, and a PR and marketing agency that has worked with big clientele such as Sony, Sharp, and BMW. With her love for internet marketing and business, she teaches and helps entrepreneurs build their brand and tell their stories by getting them into major publications through her PR agency, Prime Press. Now, let me introduce someone who has used hustle to take her from playing poker to make a living to multiple business owner and serial entrepreneur, and striving to help her fellow millennials find their own freedom and success. Let me introduce Karla Singson on the Hustle and Happiness Podcast. Welcome, Karla. How are you doing today?
Hey, Brandon. Thank you for that glowing recommendation and introduction. It feels so surreal to hear that always that, before 30, I have done all those crazy things for money.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing great. I'm here in Bangkok for a vacation. I'm very happy to do this. Hi to all the listeners. Brandon, you're doing a good thing here. And how are you over there in the States?
Oh, I'm doing great. I think it's awesome that you are out vacationing. We are two different time zones for everybody else, realizing she is in her morning right now and I'm in my evening. So it's awesome to be able to connect like this with people around the world and be able to do it in different time zones.
Right. That's true. The internet is wonderful.
Yes. All right. So let's talk a little bit about your story. And during your early 20s, you spent a lot of time exploring yourself and your passions. You think that's good advice for people in their early 20s to kind of discover themselves and experience the world?
Yeah, I think that it really starts with self-awareness, and that what you really want and what you what are the things that you do that make you feel like you are at your best, or that you are exploring your best potential. Because birth lottery gives us talents, and there are people who are good at one thing and not good at another. I'm good at some things and I'm bad at other things, like geography, and and so you should be self-aware. I feel like you should be self-aware enough to know what you really want and what you're good at, and then those things are what we call passions.
Mm-hmm.
And the earlier you know those things, the better, because you get ahead of everyone else. Because there are people who discover their passions super late in life, but they still succeed, just like the guy who founded KFC, and other athletes who discover their some people go into bodybuilding like in their 40s. So,
Yeah.
Things like that. So if you do that way ahead of time, then you definitely get a really good head start. I remember when I was a kid, my ultimate dream was just to be a writer. I wanted to write greeting cards. A stupid dream. I think I was setting myself up to be poor. and then that's why I wrote all throughout my, I was in the school paper, things like that. When I was in college, I explored debate and graduated president of the debate varsity. And I still loved writing. In fact, I used debate to be a better writer. And then I realized there was no money there. So I thought of other things where I could be a writer and still make money. And I realized, I can do any business and that I want, and then just use my writing skills.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing, like people realizing early on things that they might be interested in, and then just kind of exploring that and taking it a little further and seeing that maybe if this is something you want to pursue in your life, and build the
Hmm.
skills around that. So I think that's a big thing.
Yeah, that's true. A lot of kids are so distracted, and also they want to try whatever is cool. You know, like those
Yeah,
people on in internet marketing, especially like last month they were into chatbots, now they're into LinkedIn. Next month, whatever AI or something. It's like,
right.
no, don't do that.
Get that shiny object syndrome and just try whatever, whoever's flashing money around, like, oh, I guess that's the next big thing. Let's do that.
That's true. That's true. And then crypto, and then whatever.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so tell me
Yeah.
about your adventures playing poker. Do you think that that strategic risk environment that, playing poker has helped you in business in some of those lessons?
Definitely. The reason why I got into poker honestly was because I was stuck in a minimum wage job, and I realized what I need to do something with my nights. And then someone offered me to deal in house games. Actually, it was very bad how they offered me the job. They were like, "Oh, you're pretty enough. Just wear short shorts and deal some cards to get good tips all night and free beer." And I was 19 or 20, and I was like, "Yes."
Yeah.
So
Oh no.
or 5 weeks. And then I just started dealing. And I realized that the people that play are kind of like they're not so good, you know, and they're always drunk and they're just dudes having a great time. So I realized I need to learn this sport so I can play against them because I know how they play because I was the dealer. And
Right.
then so I literally studied poker so hard, like all the terminologies. I enrolled in the Asia Poker Academy. It's an online thing. And I read biographies of champions. I really put my everything into it. I watched videos and stuff I try to analyze, and then of course I memorized the math. That was the
Right.
easiest part because I'm Asian, and um, and so I started playing and I started winning tournaments, and I started developing the discipline so I don't lose money. So I just played tournaments and that's it.
Well, I think that's pretty amazing. Like even something that people wouldn't think that you need to learn a whole lot about. You were talking about, you read books about high level players and you were watching videos and you were learning all the strategies and learning the people that you were playing against. And I think people just see the surface level of being an entrepreneur, or even any skill that they want to learn, just see the surface level of it and don't realize how deep that you need to dive if you want to be the best at doing that thing.
Exactly. And sorry, I got overwhelmed with explaining my experience. So to answer your question, I think what player really taught me was how to make calculated risks. Um, all of my businesses have a pattern. I diversified my businesses. There's online, there's offline, there's one in retail, one in service, one, but they follow a formula to lessen the risks. And the formula is it should be profit first, meaning it should be a business that I don't have to put down capital. Number two, it should be easily scalable. So it should be something that I can start with a laptop or at home. But if I want to go big, I can easily open an office and easily get into the legal process of scaling it. Or like my flower shop, I've already had 8 franchise owners all over the country, stuff like that. So it should be profit first, scalable. And the third criteria is it should be something that is that easy to expose, or like
Mhm.
I can get referrals, cheap advertising. I have an easy referral or loyalty system for retention. So if business fits that criteria for me, it's the risk is very, very low. And I literally started from nothing. So I didn't have any capital. So I think poker helped me do calculated risks better. And of course, one of the most important skills in the world, how to read people.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's awesome. Like, if people sit there and listen to, your formula, that those 3 steps, I think that they would get a lot of value and understand like what it is you need to do in order to scale something and make a business large and be able to live like a laptop lifestyle and not just be hooked to your business all the time.
Yeah, I learned a lot from Jay Abraham. You know
Mm,
him?
yes.
I'm obsessed with that guy, and Brian Tracy for productivity. And it just reconfirmed. I discovered these guys late, like literally like last year, and I realized that a lot of the things that I've been doing are the things that they taught. But of course, they explained it more eloquently, and so it really really helped me. So I also would recommend that for your community.
Yeah, absolutely. So, how does entrepreneurship, aside from business, help build you as a person? Like, what kind of skills follow over in just everyday life and other areas of your life?
Right. I think the biggest thing that entrepreneurship helped me build as a person is to have high standards. Because if you're just with yourself, you have low standards, right?
Hmm.
That's why we wear the bad clothes at home. That's why we put we put our feet up when we're just alone. That's why it's okay for us to leave the pizza on the box and it's just us, right? We pick our nose, stuff like that. And but if you're an entrepreneur, you have to raise your standards to the standards of your client. And so that's a thing that you have to aspire to, so you get to raise your standards. And then if you're scaling, you have to definitely raise your standards in leadership, because you need to lead your people. Because I believe that business is 2 very important skills: sales, so you can sell and you have a business, because if you're not selling, you have a hobby. And number 2, if you're good at sales, it means you're selling a lot, you have a lot of customers, so you're going to be overwhelmed. So the number 2 skill that you need to memorize or master is leadership, because now you have to hire the right people and lead the right people. So if you know sales, get a lot of sales. Now you have a lot of sales, what are you going to do? You need to be a good leader so you can lead your
Right.
people. So I feel like those two things help really mold you as a person in terms of um, raising your standards at a different level for your customers. You need to deal with your suppliers and then your employees. So that really raises you. You get to be like the eldest child suddenly, and you need to be like extra responsible and stuff like that. Another thing is discipline. When I became an entrepreneur, honestly, I thought that it was like, oh, I can work whatever, wherever, whatever I want, and that's the point of being an entrepreneur, right? That your time is yours, and I can just slack off. And I did that. I did that for 3 years. I was like, I'm making more money than most of my peers. I should just relax and
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, and then I was making a lot of money, but my bank account was not moving because I was spending everything and I wasn't investing right. So I thought to myself, this has to stop. So I gained discipline and I started scaling. And then I was able to duplicate that discipline in other areas of my life, just like going on a diet,
Hmm.
or checking up and communicating with my mother, or things like that. So
Yeah.
discipline, what is really really good, because I think that's really what most people miss. That's what a lot of people don't have.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, and I think your point about raising your standards and then having the discipline to reach those standards is definitely 2 things that I have done. When I look at the goals that I have in my business, I'm like, these are really high goals. Why don't I have goals like that across my entire life? And so, whether it be my health or my relationships, and so I started raising the goals in those areas and having the discipline to reach those, and I feel like the skills that I learn in entrepreneurship, they transfer over to those other areas.
Oh, that's very true. I just realized that. I was always, a lot of girls are like, oh, my ex-boyfriends are all shit, they didn't care, they never fucking sorry, can I curse?
Yeah, yeah, you're
They
good.
they're like, my boyfriend never gave me flowers, and he never cared about me, and blah blah blah. And I realized that our partners are actually just a mirror of us.
Yeah, yeah,
And all these other people like whining, oh, all guys are pigs, and maybe that's the guys you attract, because maybe you are a pig.
Yeah.
You know. And then so it was like, when I also raised my standards and became a better partner and became a better person in general, and I worked on myself, I started really getting good results for my partner as well. It's like I'm in like the best relationship that I've ever had, and relationship milestones happened to me that never happened before. Like before, I would always whine about my ex-boyfriends, like not listening to me and not caring what I want and never giving me anything, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I realized that maybe I wasn't also giving, like emotionally, and stuff like that. So it's really really good. I guess what entrepreneurship really does to you is it puts you, it subjects you to other people's standards, and it subjects you to a different a level of self-awareness that it's not just you, and then you're rewarded with money.
Absolutely. Best of both worlds. All right.
Yep.
So you have been working to organize a TEDx event in your hometown, and I know that you've spoken at a TEDx event before. Tell me why you think spreading ideas like that is so important.
Actually, the TEDx event was done last June, um, in my hometown. It was really, really successful. And the way that they hand out the licenses is that they get feedback. That was my first TEDx event that I organized. Because the other one before, I was a speaker. And I think that spreading ideas is important because they it's not just spreading ideas, it's spreading quality ideas. Because in the age of social media rewards you for sharing your idea and doesn't tell you if it's a shit idea. Facebook is prodding us what's on your mind. Twitter is telling us write the tweet, and it's like, just say anything even if your ideas are shit. That's why we have a lot of people debating about stupid stuff online, and and people sharing like really bad ideas, like those bad feminists. And um and so I guess it's the sharing of good and high quality ideas so that we can elevate our opinions and we become more informed, and we also get to form better opinions about things. So I think TEDx is doing a great job at spreading the right kinds of ideas so that we can try to catch up with all of this mounds of garbage online. Because it's what they say, like, whatever sick thing that you're thinking, the sickest thing that you're thinking in your head, the internet has something sicker than that. So that's how that's how bad the internet is, and TEDx is doing its best to clean that up.
Yeah, absolutely. So how do you think people can spread better ideas of their own and not just the ones that they mirror on social media that they see all the time?
I think it's, of course, due diligence and listening more. Listening more. I guess a lot of people just want to talk. And when they talk, when you talk, you're just repeating what you know. But when you listen, you download new things into your head, and then you get to be more discerning. And so I think people can better spread their ideas by starting with having good ideas and having the discernment of choosing which ideas are worth sharing. Because if you're on a dinner table with your friends, you don't just say anything you want to say. You think of a good story to make the table laugh, and
Right.
you think of of experiences that will fascinate them, right? If you're on a first date, you have a carefully set of jokes that will hit with your date. I don't know about you, but I did that when I was single. And it doesn't play well with every race, but 80% success rate. So, but so so what this confirms is that you can be discerning if you want to. If you're fighting with your partner, you carefully watch your words, things like that. So I guess people just need to have more of that on social media, and on the internet, and a lot of people are just okay spreading bad vibes and bad information. And I guess that if we are only more discerning of our ideas when they start in our head and when we share them, then I guess we can better spread our ideas.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, and that's one of the major goals of this podcast, as well as a sort of both a way to share with the community, but as also a selfish thing for myself is to learn from all these other entrepreneurs. And I have this formula of ideas in equals ideas out. So the more ideas I can put in, the better that I'm going to formulate some and make connections from all these wonderful people that I interview and I talk to, and be able to put better ones out. And so that's kind of the way I work through it.
Right. That's right. So you get to you get to have a barrage of good ideas, and then you get to filter them for like the best, and then you can use it for yourself and share it with your community. So,
Yeah,
Brandon for
absolutely.
mayor.
All right. So you are a pretty big believer in, hustling and putting in the work and doubling down on that, even while you might still be in a 9 to 5 job. So how do you balance that with other areas of your life when you're putting so much time into your business?
Honestly, when I was a bad employee. So that's one of the things that pushed me into entrepreneurship, because I was resistant to authority. I didn't like the dress code, and I was intellectually arrogant because I was like, I'm this genius girl who graduated college at 19 and the president of the debate club and all of these awards. Like, what? Who are you? Like, I was so arrogant. And because I was arrogant, it made me a bad employee, So looking back, I'm as embarrassed to admit that now, but that's the truth. And so, but entrepreneurship taught me that, okay, you think that this is easier than a 9 to 5 job. This is a 24/7 job with internet right now. People, kind of expect you to always, respond to them within 24 hours, whatever. So what I do to balance that with other areas of my life is I learned how to first is I learned how to do deep work, which is probably heard of it. It was coined by Cal Newport. He had a TED talk about and a book. I really recommend that book, Deep Work. It teaches you how to do 100% undistracted work. And now I can literally work one hour a day and just some communications all throughout the day with my teams, and that's good. I get to balance the other areas of my life by making sure that I'm not forced to do anything I don't want to. I
Hmm.
think that's just really it. So my friends want to hang out. If I don't want to, I say, oh, I have plans or whatever. I mean,
Yeah.
Netflix at home are still plans, right?
Right.
And if so I just communicate what I want, and by doing that, get to put myself first, and I'm never burnt out, never ever, because I used to be burnt out. I remember crying at the end of the day because I was just so tired. I was just so tired, and I couldn't take it, and I had nothing else to do, and tomorrow is a different day. And I also remember being an alcoholic. I
Mhm.
would turn to alcohol at the end of the day because I was so tired, and it was my way of coping. But then, even if the coping mechanism differed, I realized that I should just stop being so tired. And so I of course I developed systems in my life. I outsource a lot of things. My household has a schedule for picking up laundry, delivering laundry. I have professional cleaners coming in. My car runs on a schedule for maintenance. So I've kind of systematized my life, and
All
something that I
right.
learned from entrepreneurship as well. And of course self-work. Invest in myself. I read, meditate, things like that. So I guess that what's really important is you get to know that you need to be the best version of yourself, the best, the healthiest, the best looking version of yourself, so you can be the best in other areas of your life after. So you can be a good sister, so you can be a good girlfriend, so you can be a good leader of your business, so you can be a good supplier to your customer. So you need to work on yourself first, and if you're not at your best self, then you will also be a shit in those other areas.
Yeah, I mean, you brought up some great points along the entire explanation. I think one of the big things, first of all, is valuing your time just as much as you would money, and realizing that it's, the second currency of life, and you have to
True.
prioritize what you actually find important. So when you say that, you don't actually want to go hang out with your friends, or you can't do this other thing, you have to look at, what's important, and then, as you were stating, like, what's going to help you grow, what's going to help you become the person that you want to become, and be able to reach those goals in those other areas of your life. And so people have to start realizing, that when you're working towards your business goal and you're hustling, that you also have to look at yourself in these other areas and really prioritize those times as much as you would your business and making money, because they're just as important.
Right. That's true. It's self-work. Self-work is the heavy lifting that you really need to do to be successful. Because that point where people say, oh, your life is so perfect, you have this business, you travel a lot, you have great skin, you have an awesome boyfriend, that doesn't just happen out of luck. You
Right.
have to engineer your life around excellence. So, and as the eldest child of a tiger mom from an Asian family, I was really, all of us were trained to be excellent. It was like, you need to be an honor student or you stop.
Yeah.
And it was like, all of you need to learn one sport and master it, and one instrument and master it honestly. Yeah, that's why I learned how to play the guitar, and I was table tennis champion. I know, so Asian. Um, and an honor student, because my parents, I owe a lot to my parents. My parents really built us to be, followers of excellence.
Awesome. Well, before I get to my last question, where can everybody find you online?
Oh, they can just visit my Facebook. I'm very active there. Karla Singson. That's the personal page, and I also have a website. I have a lot of articles and free cheat sheets. Most of my stuff are designed for small business owners or aspiring entrepreneurs or freelancers moving into entrepreneurship. So they can visit my website, karlasingson.com, and I also have videos on YouTube. But really, they can just Google my name and they'll find more stuff than they would want.
Awesome. All right. So what do you
Thank you.
believe is the one mindset shift people have to make to be successful?
Oh, okay. One mindset shift. I listened to a lot of Jordan Peterson this year. He got really famous. And there was one line that really struck me that he said. He said that our greatest pain comes from the fact that we are not everything we know we could be. So the greatest pain is from the fact that we know we're not everything we could be. So I guess that really got me to reflect a lot and think. And I realized that um, that there is our self and there is our ideal self, and we are always not our ideal self. I would love to lose like 5 more pounds, and stuff like that. I would love my business to be at this level. I would love to be a better boss to my employees, because I always
Mhm.
lose my best people or whatever. So there's you and there's the ideal you, and there's always that gap, and that there is a gap. And the more hurtful and sadder thing is, what's causing the gap. That five pounds you're not 5 pounds lighter because you always fucking eat rice. That you're a bad leader because you don't listen to your employees, you don't give them a voice or something. You know that you're not making uh X level of business because you didn't focus on retention or on your upsells, or you reply so late at people who reach out to you, so you lose the business. Where the gap lies, and what's causing the gap, but most people don't do anything about it. the uber religious people would say it's God's will, or some people would think that things are just like that. You can't have everything in life. So I guess that the biggest mindset shift would just have to be that you have to acknowledge the gap, and you have to work on closing the gap always, because always the more that you raise the kind of person you are, the more that you still also raise the person that you aspire to be. So there will always be a gap, but you should always drive towards getting closer to your ideal self, because it's the pain that comes with knowing that you're not everything that you could be. That pain will show itself in different areas of your life. Trust me, it will show up when you wake up in the morning, when your alarm goes off. It will show up when you get on an argument with your partner. It will show up the time that you realize that the payments are too late and you're not sure if you can make rent next month, or that you can't take your kids to Disneyland this year, even when you promised. So yeah, it's always working towards the best version of yourself, and consciously doing that, because most people are working towards the best version of themselves, but they're not doing it consciously. They're just like, oh, so I want to be more productive. Oh, I discovered this Pomodoro technique for time management. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it right now. And then they see another thing and they're like, oh, what if this technique also works? And Tim Ferriss talked about this. So they're so scattered. It's not systematized, and it's not, it's not conscious. It's not conscious. So you have to do that consciously. And then you just need to be more disciplined, be more aware, and try to close that gap always.
Absolutely. Well, Karla, you have been so insightful, and I thank you so much for sharing all of your knowledge and tips and wonderful advice. Guys, I would definitely listen to this episode, re-listen to the episode, because there are a lot of great golden nuggets in here. And just check out Karla's stuff. I mean, she has a lot of helpful tips, definitely depending on where you are in your entrepreneurial journey, whether you are just starting out or you have a small business and you need to take it to the next level. She definitely has some stuff that will help out. So I want to talk to you all on the next episode. And thank you so much, Karla, for joining us.
Thank you, Brandon. Thank you so much. I had a great time and doing a great job at this. Let me know how else I can help your community. I'd love to serve your community more. And once again, thank you so much. I had fun.
Thanks so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed the behind-the-scenes look at our entrepreneur's journey. If you want to get more secrets to becoming an entrepreneur and pursuing your happiness, then visit www.hustleandhappiness.com. Join us again next time, and remember, you are just one decision away from your happiness.